What's going on, everybody? Nighthauer here. Guys, today we're talking drama. All right, so what's going on with Helldivers 2? What has happened? For those who don't know, drama is not what I do. That's not even what we're going to do today. I really have no interest in it, but I do want to address some things, and I think I can offer a unique perspective on some things that I don't think most people have. Although some of the creators in doing Helldivers stuff, that they have much bigger channels than I, and some of them started when Helldivers came out. Okay, so they've done very well. Way better than I. I've been doing it for years before that, and I don't have the same kind of reach. However, I will say from my extra years of experience, I can offer some insights into some things that I actually find this is very common with creators, that they don't understand how this whole thing works. So let me start off just by saying that creator programs in general are problematic. They're problematic for you, they're problematic for me, and they're a pain for game companies. Okay, but there's a reason they do it. We'll talk more about that. Let's talk about what the actual issues are. Well, first one up here is Eravin is a creator for Helldivers 2, VTuber who does a lot of content. And they've done a video, I'll link it down below, where essentially they've been not brought into the creator program. And they seem to have as large or larger an audience than some of the other creators in the program. They were told, basically lied to, told that like, hey, we're going to bring you into the creator program, or we have some plans for you, but they were hurt that they weren't invited and flown out to Sweden, I think is where Airhead is located at. And they have some very valid complaints about the way they were treated, and they're kind of frustrated with that. Several other creators are friends with them and are upset on their behalf. Okay, so some issues there. We'll circle back around. I'm just kind of giving you an overview right now. Other issues is that BuzzLitebeer, Lieutenant BuzzLitebeer, which is another Helldivers creator, apparently one of his videos got flagged, and they sent him a message that, as far as I think anybody can tell, is either in error. They don't understand what they were mad at him about. No, I think it's just that. But they said they wanted him to change something in his video that was, first off, wasn't him. He didn't do anything wrong. Okay. And then when he said, no, I won't do it, they actually kicked him out of the creator program. Okay. So he's no longer in. And so other creators in the program, other Helldiver creators, such as Commerce Archive and a few others, Cloud Plays, have been upset about that. Some more than others, I suppose. And some of them know him personally or friends with him, what have you. And they're pretty upset about that as well. Okay. So one of the things you need to know is that, first off, I mean, this sounds crazy because Arrowhead has everything I can tell has been a great company so far. Their marketing is handled by a third-party company. Okay, so it could be that this is coming from Arrowhead, but it is very likely not, to be totally honest with you. Okay, so let's talk about each one of these situations and dig a little bit deeper. So maybe we'll start with the Eravin situation. So Eravin wasn't invited to a in-person thing that I think they were kind of upset about. A lot of his community was wondering why they weren't invited to it and why they've never been led in the creator program. And then at some point, with some back and forth with the whoever the media people for Arrowhead, they said, we don't like some of the negative things you've said in your video, so we're not inviting you right now. Okay, I just want to call BS on that. So companies, this whole creator program thing, guys, and this is what is very confusing to a lot of creators. They're trying to get something from creators. Okay, they're not making a creator program out of the goodness of their heart. What they're trying to get out of it is positive media coverage, right? They call us influencers. That's where this term came from. Okay, marketing folks that work for companies try to find influencers. Doesn't have to be YouTubers. Anybody who can influence other people to buy their product. And that's why they call us influencers. Okay. It's honestly kind of a semi-derogatory term, not derogatory, a little bit derogatory, right? It's objectifying creators in a lot of ways. Okay. You're not a creator. You're an influencer, and we're just trying to buy your influence. Now, similar to how games companies and gambling casinos and stuff will call people whales. Okay, it's not a polite term. It's not as bad as whale, but it's not super polite. Okay, they see us as influence. They want to buy that influence. Okay, and the good news for them is that creators, especially YouTubers, are incredibly cheap. Okay, apparently most of us are willing to sell our community out for pennies on the dollar. Okay. And even if they literally pay you to do a sponsorship, YouTube creators and other creators are, again, very cheap compared to traditional media and traditional marketing. Okay, so that's great. But what they have found they can do is they can actually not even have to pay people money. What they can instead do is they can give them access to stuff. They can, and the access, just for examples with Helldivers, is they get the various war bonds fully unlocked and access early to those war bonds and early to the content that will come out. So whenever you see a creator, guys, who drops content the same day and the same hour that it is gone live to you, but they already have a guide for it, almost certainly that is what has happened. They've had early access to it. Really, that is what has happened. They've had early access to it. They've had days and weeks to make guides for it. And so then they can put out the content about like, hey, let me tell you about every single war bond ranked. This happens in other games. Elder Scrolls Online has this as well. Most games, honestly. Maybe not most games. Many games. And there are a ton of other things, right? They can let you know what's coming up for the patch, even if you don't get to pre-play it, so you kind of know what to expect. They have opportunities to talk with the developers, so they know what they're thinking, where the direction of the game is going. And sometimes they'll get feedback from those people. Honestly, that usually doesn't work out, and there's usually not too much back and forth, to be honest. Okay? The company is getting... So that's what they're giving the creators in these programs, okay? They're getting early access to stuff. Guys, I don't make content for Helldivers, partially or that much content, because I can't compete. And this is a real problem for small creators. I can't compete with someone who's had a week or a month to already go through all of the content. They know how to do it. They've got a guide ready on day one. How can I, as a creator, if I come out with a guide 2 weeks later that's better, even if it's way better, they've already got all the views because day one, everybody's searching for guides on that stuff. And so if you're not one of those people, it's a huge advantage for you as a creator to have those kind of things. Other things they do is they promote your content. That is it can be okay, but a lot of times it's not that great. It kind of just depends how it's done. Elder Scrolls Online has put some of my videos. I'm not in the creator program. They put some of my videos like on their website, and people will notice that I know, and they're like, "Hey, your video is on the website," and I'm like, "Cool." It does a little bit. Doesn't do much at all. If they didn't do it, I wouldn't care. I'll put it that way. Okay. So there's a lot of things, though, other things that creators can do. They'll send them things like, hey, here's a preview. They'll send them physical objects. What are they trying to do? Well, it's cool for the creator because you get cool swag. It's also cool for you because it's easy to make content. Hey, I got sent a cryptic message. Let me read this. Okay? So it's cool for them because they get easy content, easier to make content, and they can cover some stuff. And honestly, even if they're being very genuine, they can let their community know, hey, I got this cryptic thing. I think this might be this. The company is just trying to market. They don't care what you do with it. They just want you to cover their game. What this also allows, okay, so that's what the creator is getting. What does the company get? Okay, the company gets, one of the huge things is that they get to help control the narrative. Okay, they get to tell people and encourage them, hey, we want you to cover this. Hey, let me show you this. And there are some interpersonal dynamics too, where if you know somebody on the other side, right, and you're pissed off at this company, but you know somebody else and you like that other person personally on the other side, you're more likely to not say what you really think. Okay, and if you don't know what I'm talking about, next time your mother-in-law asks you, a question that telling her the truth would be offensive, and you decide to lie or step around the question, that's exactly what happens with games, okay? Something comes out, you're pissed off, you think it's messed up, but you really like this person, and they've told you that the company is working on it, even though you have years of evidence that they're not, you're more likely to be like, a little bit easier on them, go a little bit softer on them, and not be like, no, this is messed up and this is jacked up. Now, Helldivers, luckily, we don't usually have that problem. We'll let them know, okay? But that is part of what the company is getting. They want to, generally speaking, try to control the narrative. Now, creator programs are totally different, too. Just realize this. Some of them, especially for like smaller companies or indie companies, a lot of times what their creator program means, and this is actually the case with someone like Funcom. Also, I should note that a lot of creator programs, there's different tiers, guys. If you've got someone with a huge audience, hundreds of thousands or millions, they get treated differently than the people with 60 or 150,000. These are different tiers, okay? And then much more differently than someone with like 5,000 or 10,000, subscribers or what have you. Those people all get treated differently. So also realize that. Other things that they get is, or rather, let me talk about smaller companies. A lot of times all they're trying to do, especially for an indie company, you just want people to cover your game. Right? That's all you want. You want people to cover your game. So if they can, you can't buy all the games you want to play as a creator. I know I can't. And so if a company will give me a key and just say, hey, here's a key, do whatever with it, play the game. A lot of times they'll be like, we want you to play the game. Play it on stream, do it for X hours. All they're saying is like, hey, if we give you this, we just want to know that you're going to do something. You could rage about how terrible the game is on stream. They hope you won't, and they expect you won't. But they really just are just trying to be like, hey, please play this. If we give you the key, don't just give it to a friend who would have bought the game otherwise. That's all they're really trying to avoid with really small creators with like 1,000 subscribers or something. So companies have all these different metrics. You got to have this many subscribers, this many watch hours, what have you. And there are third-party companies, guys, out there. So here's another thing about these marketing companies. For most game companies, having a marketing department, influencer department, does not make sense. Because you only need them some of the time, and you only need them to do certain things. And especially with indie companies, they don't care about marketing. They know if they make a really good game, people will play it. That's all they have to do. They know that for sure. And so they focus on that. I would say Arrowhead is likely in this situation. So what do you do if you need a marketing department, but for only like a little bit, like a month of work out of 12, okay? One month out of the year. Well, what you do is you find a company, a third-party company, that all they do is marketing, okay? And they say, hey, you need it for us for a month? Cool, we'll work for you. We'll work for them for a month and them for a month, and we'll chain those together, and we'll have a full year worth of work for all of our employees, okay? So there are a lot of marketing companies out there that's what they've done. I can tell you that I don't personally know, and I know a lot of marketing companies, guys. I can tell you that I do not personally know one marketing company. I have heard rumors of good ones, but I do not have carnal knowledge of any good marketing company. Okay, guys? Most of the time, what they do, because they're marketing people, they sell the company on their services. They tell them all the amazing, great things they're going to do. They just nod along and go, oh yeah, totally. And you know what? We could also do this. And they're totally blowing smoke. They're totally BSing. They're totally full of crap. Some of them maybe are well-intentioned, but they just never execute. Most companies, and if there's one piece of advice I can give to independent games companies, is do not pay a marketing company, okay? Now, there are certain services like that are out there, and most of them, honestly, are pretty terrible, but there are some you can use as an indie creator just to get those keys in front of people so that people will maybe play your game. Okay, so most of them are terrible. Most of them are dishonest. Most of them are not great, okay? Most of them are just trying to extract something from the players. Other things they do is they one of the things how you get traction on social media is if you're trying to get your hashtag or whatever your name is trending, okay? This happened recently with Borderlands. Borderlands came out, and you got all those crazy codes. For those who don't know, there's these crazy long codes, like it's a game code, right? Like it's like a 16-digit code, and it'll give you some item in game or the chance of some item in game. Why did they do that? It was really weird, right? Well, it caused Borderlands 4 code to be typed into Google and Bing 1 billion times, okay? And that causes Borderlands 4 to go up in the search ranks, all right? And that is what they try to do with all social media. Same thing on Twitter or X, same thing on Blue Sky, YouTube, what have you. So a lot of times what these companies will do is say, hey, we'll give you this key. You have to stream the game this day. Do you ever go on and you're like, man, every single streamer I know is streaming this one game? Sometimes it's because a game came out. Sometimes it's because the creator really just wants to, they all just want to cover a game when it first comes out. We all want to do that. But sometimes it's because the company has engineered that to be so that if you go on Twitch, you go on YouTube, you are going to hear about that game. And how they do that is by offering people money, by saying, hey, we'll give you this key, but only if you do this. It's not a good relationship. I will note all the things I have talked about, guys, almost none of them concern you as a player and have you as a player at heart. And that's why I think that creator programs are intrinsically problematic, because I personally feel that I work for you guys. I work for the community. Games companies, I want them to do well because I love great games. I do not work for them. I work for you guys. And I am in creator programs. I just don't do anything that I don't find ethical, as you might imagine. And I also, generally speaking, do not apply for them, okay? The only time I apply for creator programs, or I try to get into them, is I would not cover this game if they don't give me a key. If they're going to give me a key, I kind of don't care. Now, I say that. One of the other things is this creates, as I mentioned earlier, an incredibly unlevel playing field, okay? Because these companies can pick certain creators that have early access to all their content, that have free access to certain things. So if I can't afford to buy the newest war bond, I don't own all the war bonds, right? I've slowly gotten most of them, but I didn't buy many of them, most of them, when they came out, okay? It creates an unlevel playing field. And it can be really hard as a new creator and a small creator to be able to compete with people that have, in addition to having a larger audience, probably more experience, they also have information that you simply don't have, and they have it weeks or months beforehand. Cannot over-exaggerate how big of an advantage that can be for a creator. So that's why I say they're intrinsically problematic. Now, many of these marketing people, they, again, don't care about the creator. They care about the marketing thing. So when creators tell me that they've had, and they announce that they've had really bad experiences with these various marketing people, a lot of times it's like, yeah, that checks out. I will also note that many creators out there are not, how do I say this? I'm not trying to bash other creators, guys, but there are plenty of people out there who are not great people, okay? They are, I have seen a person whose public persona seems okay, and they're relatively public persona, if people really looked into it. In their Discord, they're horrible to people. Interpersonally, they're terrible to people. They're mean. They're jerks. And then when a marketing person is kind of mean to them once, they're like, oh, woe is me. It's like watching a football or a soccer player just take a dive, okay? They're like, oh. When it's like, no, I've seen you curse people out for less than this, for the tiniest slight. That happens. Generally speaking, the marketing people don't care if the creators are moral people. They don't care if they're a good person. They don't care about whatever. They only care about the audience size. And so they'll work with some pretty terrible people, and they're fine with that. They also, to some degree, depending on the company, don't even care if it's bad publicity as long as you've got a big enough audience. The bigger your audience, that's the only thing that matters. The bigger, if you've got 5 million subs, they don't care if you take a huge dump on their game. Enough people will be like, I disagree, or hey, this actually sounds interesting to me, that if you've got that many people watching, probably some of them will still go buy the game. Maybe they'll go buy it for a meme, and they know that, okay? They have the data. Generally, that's not great. They try to control it if they can, but they don't try to control it as much with larger people with larger audience because they know they can't bully them as much too. So there's also that as well. And they know all publicity is good publicity is not true to some degree, because if everybody goes and downvotes your game, your Steam sales are going to go down, and they ask for refunds, they're going to lose money. So there is bad publicity in this situation, especially with creators, okay? So that's vaguely how they work. There's more nuance. There's more stuff I could tell you about all of this stuff. Other things is like getting access to pressers. Anyways, there's more advantages, more things that they try to do. So anyways, why do I tell you all that? When Eravin says that he's been treated poorly by some person in the media, which again is a third-party company from all that we know, I am like, yeah, checks out. Why didn't he get invited to this in-person thing? Well, I'll be honest, I was a little bit surprised by that because he's a VTuber, or they are a VTuber. I don't know their gender. And I could see them not wanting to be in person because they're filming live. So I could see them counting them out just because of that. I think if that was at all the case, they should have told them that. I don't think they have. So yeah, there's some jacked up stuff. They treated him poorly. Sure. Yeah. I'm with that. They should treat people better. Absolutely. A lot. And then other creators are mad on their behalf. The thing I want to say, and that's fair, that's valid. The thing I want to say is that this is not me. I have not applied for this creator program, but there are many creators that are trying to cover Helldivers that would love to have early access to all this stuff, that would love to have all this information, would love to be able to talk to the devs. And all of these guys in this program have a advantage over all of those other people. And it is very unlikely that a channel will succeed despite all of that. Eravin, has done that. So huge pat on the back for them. But they also went in the program, and other people want them in the program because they're friends with them, right? And their community wants that too. I think the only real fair way to do creator programs, also a personal note about Helldivers, I tried to reach out to their community people when the game went live, and a lot of times all I'm looking for is a media kit. That's another thing you can get access to, but sometimes other companies make it public. Or anybody who asks can get it, okay? A media kit is like, here's our logo with a clear background, so you can put it on your thumbnail. Here's some good screenshots, because sometimes you're like, hey, I'm going to play this live, and I haven't played it yet. I have no screenshots myself. So they give you things that will make it very easy for you to make a thumbnail and for you to make a little bit of graphics for it. Those are a huge help to creators. I reached out to Helldivers and was like, hey, do you have a media kit? Do you have a press kit? Or a press kit. Could be another thing you could call it. Same thing. No crickets. And I reached out to them multiple times across I had to go get it, grab it off of like Google and cut it out by hand, and it's fine, but it's time consuming. It's kind of a pain. So it's one of the first things I ask for I'm looking for whenever I'm going to cover a game. If I'm going to cover a game, I go look for their media kit. That's the first thing I do. Okay. So that's another thing. Helldivers has never responded, okay? They've never been great about this, and so the impression I get is probably this is an indie company that got way more success than they expected, and this is a very secondary thing. They didn't get this success because they had a good marketing push. They got this success because they made a great game. So marketing is almost certainly still an afterthought for them, certainly if they have a third-party company doing it, okay? Maybe they'll rethink that after the current drama. So when people tell me there's problems with these creator things, it's like, yeah, I'm not at all surprised. But I often hear creators mad about things that they just didn't understand. A lot of times they think, because these media people are very nice that work for the companies, and they're very sociable because that's their job. That's who they are. But creators get confused and think they're actually friends, okay? And rarely that is the case, all right? And they're trying to get something out of this. A lot of times what I'm trying to tell you is it's fake, okay? I have friends who went to school for media and stuff like this. If you go look on their personal social media profiles, it is the most curated thing ever. And when I read their posts, I'm like, oh my God, it's so much BS. It's not real life. That's their job. They know companies will look at their social media, they'll look at their personal stuff, and they know that they're putting it out there. It's a job interview thing. They know they have to do that, so that's what they do. So it's part of your application is really a big deal. So, and some of those people, I'm acquainted with them. I'm not even friends with them because a lot of them are indeed fake. Not everybody. Some of them are super straight shooters, and I love that. Okay, there are some really good media people out there. Okay, please don't let me make you think that. I covered tabletop games, and 90% of the people that I deal with are absolute pleasures to deal with. But they're real people. They cut through the BS, and they just tell you how it is. And it's just refreshing. Games companies, digital game companies, it's a totally different animal usually, okay? And again, a lot of them use third parties, and I do not know of a third party that I've ever actually ran into that's actually great. Okay, a whole lot about creator programs. What about what's going on with Lieutenant BuzzLitebeer? Well, the situation with Lieutenant BuzzLitebeer, excuse me, I'm struggling with, I've been talking too much, is he posted, he was referencing an article, and all he did was they said something about they're upset about creators who make, AI generated content and basically lying to people, okay? And this happens. Creators, especially on Helldivers, is actually a pretty big thing with Helldivers where they're like, oh, they're going to add this to the game, and they just make up shit, okay? Lieutenant BuzzLitebeer reference, it was like, yeah, this is like, I typed this exact thing into Google search, and these are the creators. This is what came up. And he posted up on the screen. Didn't do anything wrong. Really didn't. And then they asked him to take that down for whatever reason. And he was like, yeah, no, I'm not changing what I'm doing. I think that he and others were surprised that they would ask him to change what they're doing. I also agree that this is nonsensical. It makes no sense. I will also point out that some of the people that are covering Helldivers 2 and are in the creator program, there are at least one or two of them that constantly give, and you could reference some of my other video that I'm releasing at the same time as this one, talking about bugs and whether or not it's bricking people's computers, whether or not Helldivers 2 is bricking computers. There are some people that seem to be drama tubers and who seem to not really care about facts in a lot of ways. Like, they're getting good on the game facts because you guys will hold them accountable if they get some fact about the game wrong. But they seem to be able to do, like, as far as mechanics, but they seem to be able to do whatever they want otherwise, and they seem to also just, like, want to enrage people for clicks, okay? And I'm sure they're being genuine about it, but that is what they're doing. And, again, against Arrowhead, against the company, against the game. Again, most media companies don't care about that stuff. And they don't care because as long as you're covering the game, as long as you're not telling people to go refund the game, they don't care. It's good coverage. You're covering the game, and if they like some of their other content. If they are hiring a third party to cover their media guys, they're not doing as good of a job as someone who actually worked for the company. They might have seen Lieutenant BuzzLitebeer's they might have seen Buzz's stuff and not. They might have seen his stuff and not known about some other creator stuff that does far worse things, who's also in their community program or whatever. Or maybe they would have gone out after them. I don't know what's going on, so I can't offer any specific insight. What I can tell you is that what this looks like to me, as someone who has been in the industry for a while, knows people that are media people, has been a creator and what have you, it kind of seems like someone new got hired at the company and or they got some new direction and they went someplace, they went off the reservation. And this is probably not okay with Arrowhead. That is my guess. And I say that, I'm giving a lot of room to Arrowhead, but I say that because Arrowhead has at every turn been incredibly transparent. They have good ethics, and they seem to treat people very well. So it seems very out of character for the company to then do something like this. I could be wrong. Somebody could have just, I don't know, been power tripping or something, but I think it's honestly most likely that there is a serious miscommunication and a new person at this company that did crazily the wrong thing. And this situation deserves to blow up. It deserves to be covered, and Arrowhead should absolutely fix this. Okay, should they even have a creator program in the first place? Should they make all of this? I think personally the best creator programs, guys, just to kind of wrap this up, I think the best creator programs, what we really want to see is a company that levels the playing field. And if they're like, hey, are you genuinely covering our game and trying to give good information, then you get the same access to everything as everyone else. At the same time, I also think companies, and part of their media, and not even media, I think it should be core to the game development, is they should find people that are incredibly knowledgeable, and oftentimes these are creators, incredibly knowledgeable about the game, who have an informed decision not only about the game but also game design, who can give them, they're essentially free playtesters, guys. Many of the games that I play, many of the games that these creators play, they know more about them or as much as the developers. And most of the time, I'm going to be honest, because we will have thousands of hours playing the game, we have more hours than the developers. And that's okay. But my advice to a developer on what they should do with a game is much more valuable than someone who plays games once a week and will offer a suggestion. We're like, oh, it's so easy. Do this thing that is not at all easy to do. And I see those kind of comments all the time. I really think that games companies need someone, a liaison between players, and they need to pick the players, some players out of their community who have really good feedback and can understand a little bit about game development to listen to, and should do it. And I think sometimes these creator programs try to do that task as well, and I don't think it makes sense personally in most situations. Can you do it that way? Sure. But some of these guys don't necessarily know anything more about game development than does the average Joe off the street. And so sometimes what they feel is very easy to do, and I'm saying them, guys, this is me. This is me 2 years ago, okay? I've learned a lot in that time. So, finding people in the community that know a lot about the game and also can understand something about game development, it's essentially free playtesters, and they can give you some of the best information out there about how to improve your game. So if you are a developer, I would encourage you to kind of look for those type of people. Anyways, I've gone on for a very long time, guys. I hope this was informative. I hope it was entertaining. If it was, please like and subscribe. I would love to do more content like this for you guys. And liking and subscribing, watching these videos, sharing it with a friend is the only way I can keep doing this. I appreciate so much all of you for watching. Hope you have a great day.